Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in here to round 11 of pole position racing. After a week off for the Easter holiday, we are now back and we are ready to go to get this back after the season well and truly underway after a exciting Silverstone British Grand Prix sprint weekend here. My name is Bradley. I will be bringing you on the action alongside of Mr. Ewan O'Leary, who is with me for Silverstone and will be with me again here for Hungary. And Mr. O'Leary, good evening to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening. Doing well. Looking forward to another round of this championship because it just seems to get more interesting as we go along. We're getting towards the end now. We're not too many rounds away from our Abu Dhabi finale. However, it's just so close at the top of the championship that every race is just unmissable from here on into the end.
Yeah, and it's not always like that in PPR. That is the one thing I will say, as we look at the championship standings here, it is John Meister who took over the championship from Jalajne, but they are tied on points after that Silverstone Grand Prix sprint weekend. And then Mateusz Taflinski down into third place, but is only 4 points off. Gavron is only 14 points off from there. And really the big surprise for me, we talk about it, the defending champion of Graxent here, not having a Mercedes run, kind of a la carte Hamilton here in pole position racing, running in P7, 55 points off the championship. Doesn't mean he can't turn it around. We're still plenty of rounds left in the season, but not normal to see him there and not normal to have a championship this close. So it's pretty exciting. In the Constructors Championship, you do, of course, have McLaren leading Red Bull by 34 points with Mercedes back by 69 points. So that battle still has plenty to play for as well. Baron's been strong through the season. Graxen's been strong. We've had three teams that are really duking it out for the championship here, Ewan. And who comes out ahead in the end? I don't know.
No, I don't know either. It's just so close. John Meister at the moment taking two positions in the standings from Silverstone after having a very good British Grand Prix. He's been sorted ahead of Zelazny despite the fact they're tied on points because he has the one race win. He won at Monaco ahead of Zelazny actually in a relatively close race. And that is allowing him to be ahead of Zelazny, who still hasn't won this season. 3 second places for him and 6 podiums, but no race wins for him. It's a stark contrast to Mateusz Toflinski, who's won 3 times, all of those coming in the first 4 rounds of the championship. So it's just all so close. And as you say, Grasen is not even out of it, to be honest. He might well start his recovery today. He's scored the most points at this venue of anyone in PPR competition. 80 points historically in the season that we've been here. He's won in the past as well. He'll need a performance similar to that really to start gaining some points back again as well, because on average he's going to have to start gaining about 8 or 9 per round compared to his competitors, and that is a significant amount, to be fair.
It's not impossible, and Graxen is a driver that we know is up to the task. I think the biggest thing for Graxen is going to be that he's going to have to just be consistent and be smooth. It's something he can do. Last season we saw pure domination from Graxen. And this season, he's just been out of form. It's been very unusual, but I still think it's doable if he can just keep things together and keep things moving. We'll see how this back half of the season treats him. Again, this is just round 11. And hello to Pixels in Twitch chat. Welcome into the stream here. I hope you enjoy. Hope you stick around, and we'll see how things go. But let's touch on Hungary for a second. We said it just before the broadcast. I said, I hope this is a good race. Hungary is a track that statistically can go one of 2 ways. You can have pure carnage and chaos, or you can have the most boring race of your life. It goes one of 2 ways. It's hard to know which.
It is hard to know which, and so we're, I guess, going to have to wait and see. I think what we're mostly expecting here is a difficulty in terms of overtaking. Some people liken this circuit to sort of being like Monaco without the barriers. I don't think it's quite that bad. It is difficult to overtake around here, and Monaco was a good race this season, to be honest, so there's no reason why this one can't be as well. And I think any race at any track where there is such a title on the line and such a fight for a title that is on the line, like we have here in Season 10, I think any racetrack can be interesting at that point because, I mean, people weren't turning their nose up at Abu Dhabi, for example, when in real life there are championship finales heading into the final race. You know, it doesn't matter at that point when it's an interesting title fight about the sort of level of the circuit. It really doesn't matter at all. So, you know, I'm not particularly concerned about that. Hoping for a good race, though, and I'm sure it will be based on what we have seen so far in Season 10.
Yeah, Season 10 has really been producing. It's been a season that has kept things fun, exciting, interesting, and honestly has kind of kept me on my toes because we've been seeing just such a close battle, such close competition through, and we even see it now. Look at the timing board here. Look at how close this battle is. 16 cars, all separated by 3 seconds. That is very, very close competition. And again, I don't think Maverick and Frantic really have representative times, and they're 2 seconds off the pace. Really, I think everyone from P8, from Tazo down, still has time to find. So the field is very close. Myros now retiring out of the session. I believe he wrecked coming out of turn 1. If the track map does not steer me wrong. So we'll see how that affects his race there. But I do think everyone has some time to improve. And I think it's going to be very, very close racing by the end of it. Of course, 8.5 minutes left to go in qualifying. I don't have a favorite going into this race, which usually I can tell you who to keep an eye on. I don't have someone who's a favorite.
I don't think so. I think the top 5 especially are really close in this session right now. A bit surprised that Barron is getting involved at the front of the field, I've got to say. Currently 5th place in the standings, only 32 points off the lead, so it's not impossible he could get involved as well. You just never know in this season of the championship. It's been so exciting to watch that there are twists and turns and surprises around every corner. Gavron here looks like he's on a lap. He's pushing through the middle sector here, which is so difficult, of course, to actually get right. These days, turn 13 is such a fast corner in this high downforce era of Formula 1 that we've been seeing in the last 7 years or so. It's a purple middle sector as well from Gavron here. He only needs to find 1/10 and 13 thousandths of a second to take pole, but clearly that wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah, surprisingly, Gavaron pulling into the pit here. I'm not sure what the reason was there because he was purple middle sector. He had pace, and really shocked to see that he didn't go for another lap there. Graxit now in around through the penultimate corners here, and we'll see what Graxit opts to do as this continues. I'm curious to see if he decides to go into the pits or if he stays out, and he is into the pits. He was slower, so that doesn't surprise me either. He pulled in there. Big battles expected at the race start. Turn 1 in Hungary is a corner that traditionally produces action, and I'm expecting nothing less here today, especially on the race start once we see the drivers really start to put times in. I'm really, really expecting turn 1 to be kind of just a firework. I'm expecting a firework, expecting something turn 1, lap 1. And I don't know if we're expecting rain, so if we get rain, which traditionally in Hungary we have, we'll see a completely different race happen altogether, I believe.
Well, I'm wondering whether we're going to get rain in this session, to be honest. It's very dark, isn't it, overhead right now? Not seeing any indication that there is moisture out there on the circuit, but we haven't seen any major improvements, to be honest, in the last few moments. It will become quite obvious when/if it does start raining, but then again, you just never ever know what's actually going to happen here in the race session, because we're going to obviously have a little bit of a break after qualifying. We'll have to sort out the lobby, and then we will get into second session, if you like, and actually get into the race proper. Worth noting for the race as well, speaking of the lobby change and the sorting of the grid, Grosjean is going to have a 3-place grid penalty in this race, so just bear that in mind while we're watching qualifying here.
Yeah, and apologies to everyone tagging along. A little bit of graphics issues there. It's been something that we've been fighting with for several weeks now. Not sure if it is necessarily a me issue or a game issue. I don't tend to have this in other sims though, so not sure exactly what is causing that. If it possibly could be an internet connection issue as well. Of course, the fun of sim racing is you're all the way across the world doing things, but hard to say, so bear with us. We will sort this out between qualifying and the race this week and try to get everything sorted. Debe sorting himself into P7. This is a driver, the Ferraris, you know, it's tough to be a Ferrari fan sometimes in PPR as they sit P7 in the constructor standings. But Debe is a strong driver, and I would expect to see Debe have a good run today. He seems comfortable, and I think the week off has been a good mental refresh for him. And we'll see where Debe finds himself at the end of this weekend, where things sit. Just a few minutes left to go here in qualifying.
Yeah, not so long to go now, but not many drivers actually out there trying to improve right now. Debe was one of them. Is he still going quicker? Well, we're going to find out here. Currently 8 tenths away from the pole position. Here comes the Ferrari to the line now. And it will be a very slight improvement, but it's not a position. So still 7th for Debe. Baron and Tofolinski are both out there on the moment on laps as well. I wonder who's going to be across the line first. Baron's coming into the pit lane, so it's going to be about Tofolinski and whether he can maybe grab pole here.
Yeah, Tofolinski coming out of the second sector here. Let's see what time he has left here. 4 minutes to go, and he is up purple middle sector by almost 3 tenths, so he's finding time there, and he's looking good. We'll see how the final sector treats him. Coming through the hard left-hander here, the 180 hairpin comes around the left-hander. He's going to swing it back out, hit the right-hander here, and go around. And where does this land him as he comes through? It's now flat to the line, DRS open, and he comes across the line. 1:15.2, no, 1:14.785. What a time.
That was incredible from Maciej Tofolinski. That may well not be beaten. He's a quarter of a second quicker than anybody else, and he's timed that to perfection as well. There was nobody really out there on the circuit to contend with. He would have had a nice outlap where he was on his own, able to focus, and he's delivered when it counted with the real lap itself. What a fantastic lap time from Tofolinski. And there's the ever threat of rain here, which might well disrupt everybody else. That might well be the time that sees pole position today.
Yeah, 2 minutes 45 seconds left to go on a minute 15 lap. If you're going to try to beat that time, you need to get out there now. We see Gavron's out, Jalajne is out, Kashti's out, Baran's out. All the drivers are getting out there very quickly. We'll see if Graxent decides to hop out there and get his nose in the mix. 2 minutes 25 seconds left to go, so there is still plenty of time in the session. Don't be alarmed yet. There's plenty of time, and here comes Syntex, who is coming through the middle sector. He is currently the filling of the McLaren sandwich and is setting himself up to run nice and comfortable there. But you can see he is impatient there, dealing with Gavron, and wants around him and gets around him there. He doesn't want to be stuck behind the McLaren driver. He wanted his way through. He wants to run ahead, and he wants to go through and try to put in the time. And we'll see how this weekend treats Syntax. It should be a decent weekend for him. Mateusz Tofolinski has called it for a session. He's out of the car. He thinks the 1:14.78 can stick, and to be frank, I kind of agree with him.
Yeah, exactly. Who can disagree with him at that stage? He's done so well to set that time. He might well not have to do anything else here today to be on pole position for the Hungarian Grand Prix this afternoon. It does look like everybody else is going to be able to give this one more go, though. Very overcast conditions, but it's not raining, crucially. If you can find the track space among the 13, 14 drivers actually out there on the circuit, because it looks like Kusha, Maris and Tofolinski won't set times here. You can find some speed and find some space, you might be okay. Syntex is going to have to wait for a second lap. That was invalidated at turn 4.
Yeah, Syntex catching the track limits there, and we'll see just under 60 seconds to go. Ferrari pulls out of his way. Is he going to have enough time to set up another lap here? We'll see. Gavron now out of the session, so one McLaren has called it a weekend there. It looks like he might have actually wrecked in the middle sector with that Ferrari. Debe gets a 5-place grid penalty now for a collision with Gavron, so something serious has happened there in the middle sector. We're not going to be able to pick up on it here, unfortunately, due to those graphical issues we have going on. But let's stick around here and jump back with Jalajne, as Jalajne is going to come across to finish his lap. We'll see where he lands himself. You can see the time is there. It's possibly there. 1:15.079. So just barely behind Baran.
Yeah, third place, and a good improvement. He was initially behind Kashti, actually, who improved in the Williams there. So lots of improvements going to be required now, one of which from Baron. Grazant has just gone over the line, by the way. He will get one more chance, along with Relics, who will be last, but Baron won't be improving. That was very, very wide, and I'm amazed his lap time still counts.
Yeah, he's actually purple middle sector, so Baron's still finding a little bit of time here, and we'll see, is he just pushing and asking for a little bit too much out of that Mercedes? Is that setup not as dialed in as he wants it? We'll see here as he comes around final corner straight, has to catch the car a little bit. I don't think it's an improvement. In fact, no, he was down pretty significantly there. So let's jump back with Graxit now and see if we can catch where Graxit's at in terms of improving. We have Maddie over the line, Kushor's over, Maverick's over, Frantic is over. Graxit's purple middle by nearly 3/10.
Yeah, this could be the time for Grazant to really step into the limelight in this championship. We've got Kashti in the pit lane up ahead. He won't be improving from 5th. Nibu Zelazny, this is a chance for Grazant to get up the field.
He's got to find the time now. He's flat to the line, 1:15.092. So he finds his way to 4th place, which is an improvement. However, it's not the front row of the grid he's used to, but we know how race starts go here. So don't be surprised if you see Graxit work his way up early on here.
What a lap from Toflinski to be the only driver into the 14s. That is amazing, to be quarter of a second ahead of the rest of the field, where 2nd to 6th is pretty much a quarter of a second as well. A really great lap time from Toflinski.
Yeah, the big key for Mateusz is going to be that he needs to be consistent now through the race. It's not necessarily, you can qualify in first, and that's amazing, but you need to finish the race, and you need to be consistent through. That's going to be where the challenge is that seemed to be part of his struggles with the season and part of his struggles with holding the championship. But it is Mateusz and Baron on the front row, Zelazny and Graxit. Second row, Gavaron, Kashti, Debe Madi, Tazo, Wasserschwein, Myros, Kushor, Velix, and Syntex, rounding out your top 14. And then from there, it is, of course, Maverick and Frantic. Field separated by 2.5 seconds, and everybody stick around here for just a moment. We're going to do this quick lobby reset, get everything going, and then we will be back for the Hungarian Grand Prix here in Pole Position Racing. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the fun of the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's cloudy. It's not raining. However, it doesn't mean that rain's not coming. And Mr. O'Leary, as you and me both know, rain can make things interesting as a race goes.
Yeah, very much so. Not raining off the start, as you say, but it might well rain some point throughout the race, and the drivers will now know that. I'm trying to see in the Discord whether if anyone's giving us any clues. The answer to that is no. They'll know now themselves, and maybe if that is the case, they'll just make some adjustments mentally to what their strategy is going to be, what they're going to do early on in this race. But they'll have to do that anyway. There's always the threat of a safety car around here, because if you make a mistake, the walls are not too far away to collect you. If someone does crash out of the race, then there is a chance of a safety car that does seem to crop up relatively frequently around this track. So that's something to factor in as well, as we find out who has decided to go on what tyres for the start of the race.
Yeah, as far as the tire decision goes, soft mediums, but Maverick opting for the hard tires, which is pretty interesting to me. I'm trying to look and see if Graxent can give me a little bit of an indication here through his stream. I'm trying to... Actually, he is not live. That is surprising. That is rare for him to not be live for a race. So, yeah, I don't have a good indication of what the weather is going to do. We're going to find out, though, as the race goes on. And let's pull up here a track map really quick so everybody can kind of see how the track looks. Usually I would do that pre-broadcast race, but, you know, sometimes you have those moments. McLaren P2, P3. Graxon, of course, taking the 3-place grid penalty down into P7. His teammate is on pole. What race strategy would you go for?
Well, I've got no idea, to be honest. I don't know who would... what you should choose, to be honest with you. It generally is a relatively high wear circuit because of the amount of corners around here. It's high speed relative terms as well, but I'm not sure, to be honest, what the best strategy is. I'm somewhat surprised that Barron has gone for the soft tyres from the front. Normally you want to use soft tyres to move through the field, but I guess he wants to maximise those soft tyres while he's out front in clean air.
Yeah, the only thing I can guess is that he wants to try to pull a gap early, or he's not comfortable that the pace of his car is going to be consistent all the way through. So we'll see what he decides to do as they come through. They're coming through the penultimate corner now, and then it will be from there. It will be up to Baron to get around here on the main straight and set up. And then Jalajne, of course, in P2 and Gaviron in P3. We'll see how the racing settles up. It's going to be very, very exciting. Will it be Cashby in 5th place? Will it be Debe in P6? Heck, it could be Maverick or Frantic back in the back of the pack. We could see Syntex take a unprecedented, unexpected win. Anything's possible here in Hungary. But as we wait, Frantic being the final driver to settle up and set up on his grid slot there. You can see on the left-hand side it is Maverick. And then we have the run towards... I call Hungary Turn 1 infamous. An AWS pit strategy says 2 stops. We'll see what happens. 5 red lights, and we are going to be underway now for round 11 here in pole position racing, and it's a good race start early on from Baron. Jalajne trying to get up in the mix, but his teammate Gavron is going to go side by side with him. Mateusz Steflinski's there. Graxit side by side with Kashti, and Debe's there on the inside. And as they go through, everybody seems to survive turn 1 without too much chaos. And now we run into turn 2. We're side by side here. Side by side is Graxit, is Kashti, and Graxit gets the run. Kashti now through, and Tazo's trying to make a run. Debe's lost a couple of places, but everybody's made it through turn 1 and 2 as far as I could tell.
It looks like it. Everybody cleanly through, and not even any front wing being shot out to the side of the road anywhere, I don't believe. Baron leads then after taking the provisional pole position because Toflinski got a 3-place grid penalty for blocking in qualifying at the British Grand Prix, so his pole position very much demoted him. As a result, Grazen had to start 6th position after being demoted places as well. Simon would have been demoted 3 places too, by the way, but he's not here. So that's worth noting. Those two now running 4th and 5th in the field, and it's really benefited both McLarens, who are running 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, McLaren looking very strong here in Hungary so far, but Mateusz, again, a driver with pace. We just need to see him convert it through the race, which should be doable there. Baran, first car over the line, so everybody now starting lap 2 of 35 laps. That should move fairly quick here, and watch this. Mateusz that is Graxit in the background under pressure by Kashti. Kashti getting around the inside of turn 1, getting that pass done, and now they will run down towards turn 2. Sometimes you see the pass in turn 1, then switch back in turn 2, and things go back to the original positions. Not the case in this moment, and it is going to be Kashti up into 5th, with Graxit now down into 6th place.
Some of these soft tyre runners back in the pack could really do with moving forwards, because we've got the likes of, for example, Velix, Pusher and Franek at the back. They've not made any progress almost early on in this race. We've got Debbie and Maurus, especially in the midfield, who aren't making any progress either. In fact, they're closer to one another in terms of a battle than anybody else. They need to make use of these softer tyres, because they are going to fall away at a point, and that point will be, I don't know, 8 laps time maybe. They've got to make use of these soft tyres while they can. Otherwise, they're just going to spend their time on the softer tyres in traffic, and the rest of them will spend it in clean air, gaining time. So it's important to move through the field now for these two.
I gotta wonder. So they're saying 2-stop strategy. It's stop on lap 11 to 17, and then stop 22 to 28 for mediums. DRS now enabled 2 laps after the start of the race. Do you think the soft tire runners are going to go for the 2 stops, or are they going to try to stretch it out long and go for a 1-stop strategy? I don't know what the decision's going to be from them, or if they're going to just call an audible in the middle of the race. I'm curious to see what they do.
Exactly. I mean, it depends sort of what goes on in this race. If there was an early safety car, then they could well go for a 2-stop strategy, and I'll probably advise for that, to be honest. But if it goes green, then 1-stop is probably the best idea. Just reduce the amount of time you spend on pit lane. That's certainly what these medium time runners are going to do. But the disadvantage of starting with mediums is that if there is a safety car after 5 or 10 laps, you can't put the softs on and go to the end. You're sort of forced into a 2-stop race. Maybe that's what they're half hoping for, that they can get a 2-stop race over the line here today. But I wouldn't necessarily advise that. We'll see what happens with safety cars, because everyone is running clean and green so far.
Yeah, this has been a very clean race, which, again, has not been the case every time this season. Of course, we're 11 rounds in, but we've seen some big moments through the season, some big wrecks, some big incidents, some big coming togethers, and some conversations about who was at fault about them. So to see everything so clean, I think that week break was very much needed for these drivers as we go through. And now let's right on board with Mateusz into turn 1. He's trying to get past Gavron. He's trying to defend for his teammate Jalajne. And he breaks traction!
Wow, traction was not there for Maciej Toflinski at all, and we have a virtual safety car. His front wing is off. I think the virtual safety car is going to end before he can actually get to repairing that, so he is going to be at the back of the field.
Oh, that. I talked about it earlier. Mateusz has pace, but he's got to be consistent, and he's got to be steady on his feet, or on his tires, however you want to phrase that. He's got to just be consistent through. And that is the thing that has cost him all season. He's fast, but it's the little mistakes that have crept in like that are costing his season through. And the VSC, there's no way he makes it back around to the pits before the VSC ends. I do think Mateusz's race might well be in trouble. He is going to have a problem here.
Yeah, he is. What a shame for him. As things were running, he was trying to overtake Gavron there, who was protecting him, his teammate, effectively, from Toflinski, who, by the way, has a chance to take the championship lead today. With John Meister absent, there's a real chance for Zelazny and Toflinski to both take the lead. Well, they can't both do it, but you get the point. Either of them can. And that has very much put it into Zelazny's favour, with Toflinski surely coming into the pit lane shortly.
Yeah, we see Mateusz Toflinski coming through. He is indeed into the pit lane right as the VSC ends, so he is not going to get any advantage of being under the virtual safety car. He's going to relegate himself into last place. Red Bull will be fuming. Mateusz will be fuming. And we'll see exactly what comes of that. There was no contact. That was just breaking traction of his own accord. There was nothing anyone did to be involved. We'll see how far back he falls off the lead of the pack. Meanwhile, Up in the front, it is Baran leading by 3.3 seconds on Jalajne and Gavron. But, of course, Baran on those soft tires trying to run a slightly different strategy. So, who knows how much of that is just tire advantage and how much of that is pace advantage. We know Baran's a fast driver, but we'll see how things land. McLaren are just trying to run consistent through, but they do, of course, have the Williams Akashi for company. And who is that I see in the background? It is the Silver Arrow of Graxent, who is starting to sneak his way into the battle.
I wonder whether he's just going to sit here and ride around behind these guys, or whether he will actively try and make something happen here. On board we go, as we watch Cassidy just up ahead. Maybe try and do something with the McLarens, but with these guys on an alternate strategy compared to Baron, there is a case to be made for saying, well, let's not battle here, let's at least ride around in single file for now, try and keep the speed up in this group as much as possible until we know that we're fighting for the win. They could be in a real chase with Baron here. They're on different strategies, and they won't know how the strategies are really panning out until everybody's made a pit stop in this race. That's going to be in quite some time, so we might see them just riding around single file for a while.
Yeah, which, again, as you said, I wouldn't blame them. You know, just take advantage of being on that slightly different strategy. Run is just a nice close pack and keep things moving. You see Graxent's keeping pace all the way through with them. DRS helping, of course. So everyone, at least in this pack between P2 and P5, seem evenly matched. And then we go 3 seconds back here to the Haas drivers, Tazo and Myros, that are going to be running together. And we'll see how they go as they run down through this middle sector, which is, I think the middle sector is really the tricky bit. It's what's separating the pace. I think the third sector, it's just a couple of back and forths. The first sector, just the downhill braking to turn 1 gets tricky. But I think the middle sector is really what separates out the abilities of the drivers and the comfort of this track, because Hungary is kind of, I do like the description of it's Monaco without the wall, but it's more than that though. It's just, it's challenging in its own right, and it's a track that sometimes it's hard to put your thumb on exactly what the challenge is of the track. Sometimes it is genuinely hard to tell why this track is so challenging.
Yeah, it is different to Monaco without the walls. That's not my description, by the way. I've just heard it before. I'm just using somebody else's words there. But yeah, it does somewhat accurately describe what's going on here. Interesting that Debe is losing so much speed already here. He's not comfortable at the start of this race. I wonder, you said earlier that he was not expecting rain, but certainly hoping for it. And it's not come at the start of the race, and you wonder whether that has factored into his thinking, because even on the soft tyres, he's getting pulled apart. Myros has overtaken him in the not-too-distant past, and now Vasserschwein will aim to do the same. Matty was going side-by-side with him for 9th place there briefly too.
Yeah, Dave, very much a cork in the bottle, and I have to think that that's the reason he wants rain, is maybe he knows that he is strong in rain, and that it makes a difference for him. And look at that, Matty getting through on Wasserschwein. Now Wasserschwein trying to get past by Syntex. Syntex a little wiggly there coming out of the middle sector, so Syntex having to back out a little bit there. He's got pace though, and he's showing it there. He's up into P11 at the moment. Let's get a quick recap of who is where in terms of this race. It's Debe down 2 places, Matty down 1 place. The big loss of the race is Mateusz Staflinski down 12 places. He has set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix though, on soft tires, so he is trying to make a move, but as it stands, he is currently all the way down in no man's land, trying to just move his way up in towards the back of the pack.
Yeah, he's got to get some points from today. He's got to limit the damage to Zelazny, who he can't afford to let get too far away in the context of this championship. There's not too many rounds yet to go. On board with Sentex, who could really do his teammate a bit of a favour here. As I mentioned, John Meister, who is a previous race winner of the Hungarian Grand Prix, can't be here today, and so it's up to Sentex to try and do something to gain some points and take some points, crucially, off the McLarens.
Yeah, and it's very doable for Syntax, honestly. He's a good, consistent driver. He just gets unlucky sometimes, so we've got to see how things go. I know he's a fast driver. Oh, a big wiggle there from Wasserschwein. Syntax thought about taking advantage of it, but he doesn't. He thinks smarter. We're in the tricky part of the track, so he's going to just stick behind and sit there. That is the smartness that Syntax has. Syntax is a very strong driver, and I'm not just saying that because Syntax is my former co-commentator and occasionally does make appearances here in the stream. I'm saying it because Syntax has genuinely taught me a lot. There's been plenty of nights where me and Syntax would sit together and he would help me time trial and kind of learn tracks and get more comfortable and really get my experience up in the F1 games to make sure that I understand what I'm talking about behind the scenes. So I know he knows what he's talking about, and I know he knows what he's doing. He just needs to be a little luck to go with that large amount of skill, which honestly, that's all sim racing is about sometimes, Mr. O'Leary. As you and me both know, sometimes you can have the best drivers in the world and they just get a little unlucky, maybe a slight wrong setup, just not their day, lap traffic, whatever it may be, and it can ruin an entire race.
It can happen. So, especially here, where if you get stuck in traffic at the wrong moment, then you're really in trouble. We've got Debbie in the wall at turn 3. That's an odd one. Very odd, actually, but Debbie is in the wall on the exit. Turn 4, excuse me. But either way, that is a safety car. That's exactly what this man was hoping for. Maciej Toflinski will be delighted to see the safety car out. I think Baron will be pretty pleased too, because he might be able to put mediums on and go to the end from here.
So many drivers just got thrown a lifeline. Every soft tire runner, Maciej Toflinski, just got thrown a lifeline. They are lucky, and we'll see how busy pit lane gets here in just a moment's time. We're at 9:35. So we're about a quarter of the way through the race. If I can do my math right. Yeah, this is about a quarter. Lap 8, lap 9. Yeah. So, yep. And as expected, Baron is in, Zelazny is in, Gavron stays out. So McLaren going to a split strategy here. Cashty's in, Graxon is in, and let's see what Mercedes is thinking on the tires here. Let's see, and it is
mediums. No surprises there. It will be, wow, hard for Zelazny. I wasn't expecting that. So let's see what everybody else does. Is that unpopular? It looks like it. Zelazny, the only one to go on the hards here.
Mercedes double stacking. Baron on the mediums. Graxon's onto the softs. So that's a big mix-up there. Didn't expect that one. Myros onto the softs. Maddie onto the mediums. Wasserschwein onto the mediums. Ushor onto the hard tires. Velix onto the hard tires. Double stacking at Aston Martin. And then, of course, Maverick staying... No, sorry. Maverick does stay out on 9-lap-old hard tires. Franikson and Mateusz is in on hard tires. So nobody agreeing about strategy. We've got Gavron and Tazo who stayed out as I don't think they wanted to double stack with their teammates.
Yeah. Everyone especially didn't want to double stack with his teammate there, Zelazny, who's gone onto the hard tyres. I was not expecting that, though, from the championship leader in waiting, I've got to say. I think Zelazny may have made a bit of a mistake there. I would have gone for the two-stop soft tyres, I've got to be honest. Personally, that's what Kasti, Grazant, Maros and Sentex are going to do, I think. They're going to pick once more for another set of soft compound tyres towards the end of this race, and that's what I would have done too. But those on the hard tyres will be going to the end from here. Those on new mediums will be going to the end as well, I would have thought. Baron, Vasserschwein and Matty. That makes it surprising that the likes of Toflinski has not gone for the medium tyres. He has used two compounds today. He started on the mediums, went on the softs during that run after his first pit stop. Now he's on the hards. Maybe he doesn't think the mediums will hold up well to the end.
Yeah, there's something on his mind there that I would love to be able to, just click in and listen in and see exactly what he's thinking. Gavron and Tazo stay out, so they're on 9-lap-old mediums. They are going to be sitting ducks when this safety car ends, as they did not pit. Not what I was expecting from them at all. So Baron, technically still your race leader, even though you see him as P3, because he's on mediums. Zelazny is going to be feeling the pressure when this safety car ends with Kashty, Graxant, Myros through. It's a mixed bag of strategies. The drivers, the sun's come out, so I don't think we're expecting rain now. I think any sort of rain chance has gone away unless there's something near the end of the Grand Prix that I'm not aware of. So we'll see. We'll just have to sit and see. I don't know what else really we can do because the sun's out. Maybe they think that as the sun comes out and the track warms up, the hard tires will be better last and the mediums won't make it. And maybe the soft tire runners are just sticking to a two-stop.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if those guys who are on the softs now were planning a two-stop at the start, but they're certainly on one now. Maybe they're expecting the mediums to go off, as you say, with the higher temperatures, but I can't see that making too much of a difference, to be honest. I just really don't know why Zelazny has gone for those Hard compound tyres. It's more puzzling to me that those at the back have gone for hards. You're already at the back. You haven't got track position, and you haven't got the tyres to move forward either. So I'm not really sure what their plan is.
I don't know either. I'm sitting here trying to think, and I don't know what the plan is for anyone right now. And to be honest, I don't know that anyone knows what their plan is. So, if you're in Twitch chat, what's the plan? Someone tell me what's going on, because I clearly do not understand race strategy as well as I thought I did. We're lap 11 to 35, and I clearly don't understand what's going on.
I mean, neither do I, to be honest, in terms of especially what the top two are going to do for the remainder of this one. They may well be retaining their medium to soft one stop, but surely they're going to be pulled apart on this restart.
Yeah, we're going to see how this happens. Gaviron has control of the field with Tazo there in P2, and it's Baron, the first person on new tires, in P3. So we'll ride on board with Baron here through the race restart as we come around, and you can see Baron kind of coaxing the throttle a little bit there. He's ready to go, and now Gaviron decides to go right at the last second. Tazo's there, of course, no DRS for 2 laps after safety car, so now we are underway, and before we can even dive into turn 1, it is Baron through on Tazo. How is Jalajne faring on those hard tires? Well, he's faring a little bit better than I expected there, as we see he is able to defend off Kashi and Graxit and keep them behind, and now it's Kashi and Graxit that need to start making pressure. We need to see the soft tires start moving. Syntex on the soft tires, making his way up into P8, past Wasserschwein, and now soft tires in P5, 6, 7, 8. Somebody's off in the background. That is going to be Maverick. I don't see anything concerning from that, so we're still underway. But up in the front, it is Baron, who is now split the 2 older tire runners. Jalajne's there. Is that side-by-side action into the chicane? Oh. It is as we go through. So it is Jalajne up. Kashi, Graxit, Myros, Syntex, the soft tire runners are going to be putting some pressure down very, very quickly.
They are. They have to do this as well. Zelazny, though, has to keep them behind for as long as he possibly can. He'll be going to the end here, will Zelazny. Now he'll get to the inside of Tazo, but look at Kasti. Down the inside of all of them. Wow, look at that. That was amazing. They all get through on Tazo. They can't get through on Zelazny.
And then you've got Graxit in the mix as well, who decided to take it 3 wide. Not something you see at Hungary very often. But as they settle back in single file, it is Jalajne up into P3 with Kasti, Graxit, Tazo now down into 6, and Tazo will continue to fall down the field as it goes, because watch that, his teammates through of Myros, and now he needs to keep Syntex back. He needs to keep Syntex back if he can, but he can't. And look at the Red Bull of Maddie. Maddie very, very pacey there. On the inside, there's a little bit of a snap there. Tazo does not have the tire grip to keep things going and keep it together. He's now down into 10th place. Now look at this. Jalajne down into 5th now, and it is Graxit in 4th. It's Kasti in 3rd. Kasti in 3rd. Graxit in 4th. It's all popping off here.
Huh. It is. The McLarens now just all at sea, and it's up to Gavron to try and defend as much as possible. Zelazny did what he could for a lap or so, but as I say, he's got to hold them back for as long as possible, because basically he is racing them. It's just that the 2 ahead of him now have to make one more stop than he does. He got to hope for no safety car for the remainder of this one, Zelazny, because if there is one, especially before a pit stop for Kasti and Grazant, then he will be behind them in terms of track position, and that's not ideal. Here goes Kasti again. It's this right-hander where he's been really fancying himself down at turn 14. He's got down the inside of both McLarens there. This time more successfully on Gavron, and Grazant will go around the outside through the next turn as well.
A little bit of contact there between Gaxit and Graviron, but I don't think anything too serious coming up, and now Jalajne there on those hard tires, and DRS now enabled, so this is going to present even more of a challenge. Watch Myros here as the McLarens form the shield down into turn 1. They go side by side as they're trying to just hold the field back as best they can. What do Jalajne and Gaviron decide to do? Well, it is going to be Jalajne past his teammate here, and now Gaviron needs to defend as hard as possible from Myros. Then Myros snaking his way through without too much of an issue and getting past. So now it is Gaviron starting to fall down and keep falling down the field as he can. And then it is Maverick back at the back on the hard tires, who's in P13. Mateusz has made no progress. Mateusz has actually had to pit again for another set of hard tires. I'm going to imagine Mateusz had a front wing change, so that is another problem for Mateusz, that he has had to pit yet again and go through. But front of the field, this is where all the action is. Things are starting to spread out, and as everyone's battled, Baron on the medium tires has pulled out almost a 2-second gap.
Exactly. He'll be going to the end from here, you would have thought as well. And so It's going to be a bit of a stretch for him, to be fair, to go to the end, but he's only got 2 laps on these tyres. He'll be doing just over 20. He'll be feeling it at the end of the race, but now that he's in the lead, it's a very, very good start for him. Meanwhile, Gavron is trying to hold back everybody possible so that he can just give his teammate Zelazny a bit of breathing space, especially from the likes of Sentex, the final of those soft tyre runners, who goes round the outside of the final corner to get to 6th place.
Yeah, Syntax with a beautiful overtake there on the outside. Now we've got Maddie on 5-lap-old mediums, so it's going to be the run of newer mediums versus older mediums. He's up the inside. Gavron just does not have the pace in order to take advantage. And he doesn't have DRS, which helps him none either as he goes through. So now he's dropped down into 8th place there since the restart. We're 15 of 35, so we're 20 to go at this point. And you've got to ask, if you're Gavron, if you're Tazo, what is the strategy from here? What are you thinking of doing? And if you're any of these soft tire runners as well, you've got to be asking the question, what is my strategy? What am I planning here? What do I do to get to the end? Because at this point, if you're Baran, you're just trying to stay out to the end and be consistent. If you're Zelazny, you just need to be consistent and hope that you can pull some gaps and do something and not get caught up in traffic. But if you're somebody like Myros or Syntax, you're in a very good position up from where you started. What can you do to capitalize and maybe try to find yourself a podium today?
Exactly. It's very, very difficult indeed. I've really no idea where everybody's going to end up here in this race. Zelazny's doing all right on these hard compound tyres. It's starting to plateau a little bit. As we're 5 laps into the stint, the soft tyres are not quite as punchy as they were at the start of the stint. You can already see Kashti and Grazant struggling to get on terms with Baron at the moment, who is leading the way. So they're going to need another set of soft tyres again in the next 8 laps or so, 9 laps maybe. That's probably a bit far. 7 or 8 laps though. Certainly they'll need another set of the soft compound tyres. They're probably hoping for another safety car at some point, ideally right as they're about to make a pit stop, but you can't wish for a safety car and get one whenever you want. So Zelazny's not going to stop again. He's going to have a lot of defending to do towards the end. I don't think Baron will do. I think he's in a really strong position to win from here.
Yeah, it's going to be very close for a lot of people, and I do think some of the drivers caught themselves kind of swimming in open water with that pit stop in the soft tire strategy, or even the medium tire strategy really might have caught him off guard. And now we sit at this point and, you know, you kind of have to look and say, okay, what's next? Where do I go from here? And now granted, the drivers and the teams, the strategists, they all know better than me. I will admit that. But with my limited experience, it does kind of become a case of, So we'll see how things go. The gap 1.1 seconds here. So Baran is losing a little bit of his pace. He had a bit more of a gap than this at one point, and now it has come down to 1.1. It was at one point under 1 second for between Kashi and Baran, but it spaced out just a little bit in the 3rd sector. So we're continuing to see moves made. We see Maddie here battling it out with Syntax. This is soft tire versus medium tire, and Syntax again on those 7-lap-old soft tires able to make a move into 6th place. Frantic and Tazo battling it out here, and Frantic able to make a move up the inside on Tazo in the battle for the last of the points paying places here. But now you see Tazo going to go up the inside and go defensive. He's going to push Frantic wide. Frantic defends it again up the inside, side by side here, and then there we go. So that is going to be Tazo back up at the last of the points paying places. Battling here for P10. Now it's Kushor and Frantic. And Tazo, you need to just run away while you can here. Run away while... there's contact that sends Frantic around.
It does, and he's going to have to take a slide through the grass to get back going as well. This is going to be a long road to recovery. There you go, back onto the circuit again. Not before Maverick gets back through again into 13th position. This is very much down at the back of the field where it's points are at a premium for any of these guys. If they're going to be able to get any, then it would be an impressive drive. Baron still able to hold the advantage at the front of the field. He's still got everybody out of slipstream and DRS range, and so Zelazny is starting to catch them up again. This is the point where the roles are reversed. Earlier on, Zelazny was having to do his absolute best to try and keep Kashti and Grazant behind because it would help him later on. Now it's the case that Grazant and Kashti need to keep Zelazny behind for as long as possible.
Yeah, he did the hard part, Zelazny did. He did the hard part of suffering on those brand new hard tires, and now it's starting to come into its own, and he's finding himself in a very good spot. And I'm kind of surprised to see Baran struggling on the mediums as much as he is, because Kashti, again, look at the gaps. He's under a second back from Baran, but we'll see if he can keep that through into the DRS range. But yeah, Zelazny did a great job, and he just held his tongue. He held his time there. And look at Gavron, 17-lap-old mediums. He has been on the same set of mediums since the beginning of the race, so he is wanting to make a one-stop work at this point. He's committed to a one-stop, unless he's going to do soft to the end. But I'm curious to see that he's committed to that. These guys are expecting another safety car. There's something going on that they're expecting to mix this race up even further as we watch here. Zelazny will have DRS down the main straight. Let's jump on board with Zelazny and see if he can get this pass done.
We'll see. The soft tyres clearly not uniformly wearing out because Kashti has caught Baron, but Grazan is not able to hold the pace. Here goes Zelazny down the inside at turn 1, and with the shorter route around, he should be through. He needs a good exit though, and he's not necessarily got one. He'll have the DRS again, and he will have his nose ahead towards turn 3. So Zelazny makes it through, and that was an important pass to execute quickly.
The very important pass. He did very well with it. Syntex into the pits, so 8 laps, 9 laps on the soft tires, and then Syntex calls it off and goes for the mediums. So that's an important number to remember, that Syntex has decided to call the mediums off there, and he's pit in. He's now P12 there with Maverick just for company on P13. Everyone's going to be looking at that. If you are Kashti, if you are Graxon, if you are Myros, you are looking at how Syntex does over the next couple of laps and what the decision is there. Now, of course, Syntex is carrying a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So not what he wanted to do to, try to make his day a little bit better. But these guys in P2, P4, P5, they are paying attention to that, and they need to keep their eyes forward. But Kashti, half a second off of Baran right now. He's right there in the mix. He's going to have DRS down the straight. And here we go. Let's see if he's close enough to make this pass happen.
I think it's going to be difficult for him, but he's got so much straight line speed that he's going to be through here into turn 1, is he? Side by side, it's a carbon copy of what we saw 1 lap ago with the other two. God, that was close. I thought they were both going to go in the wall. Oh, dear me. Kashti makes it through, though, and neither of them end up in the wall.
There was contact there, and I'm curious to see if there was any front wing damage on that Mercedes. I can't pick up on any as it sits. Let's look from the back here of Kashti. I don't see any front wing damage, so I think they got away with that, but that could have been very, very bad, very, very fast. But those two battling through turn 1 and 2 like that has now opened up the door for this orange fast bullet train here of Zelazny on the hard tires. Is now just a second and a half off, but Graxon is keeping up with him, only half a second back here through the middle sector. So this could turn into a 4-way fight for the lead, depending on how things go. We're 15 laps to go. Kashti, you're making those soft tires work a lot better than I expected, but you're going to have to come off them at some point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that point is going to come in 2 or 3 laps' time. No, he's in already. So is this a medium stint to the end? That's what Sentex has gone for. He's gone for the mediums to the end. That's making me wonder whether these mediums can make it to the end as well. In the case of Baron and Matti and Vasserstrain as well. Can he get those to the end of the race? I'm pretty sure, very confident, in fact, Zelazny can get those hards to the end, but these tyres are wearing quite quickly. What's it going to be? Mediums for Kashti, so that seems to be the faster way to go. Softs and then mediums, maybe mediums then softs for Baron.
Possibly, and remember, you still have drivers like Gavron who still need to make a pit stop. They're on their original medium tires. Gavron and Tazo, both on their original tires and still need to stop. So when do they pull the trigger on that? And how does it affect their race? We're 14 laps to go here, 15 laps to go. Baran up in the lead through. You've got Zelazny P2. You've got Grax at P3. Graxon and Myros are going to have to call it at some point. Those soft tires, there's no way they can hold on to the end. You see Graxon is losing time to Zelazny, but Zelazny is gaining time to Baran. So it's very nip and tuck back and forth here for these drivers.
It is, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen here with strategies all up in the air. They really are. Is there going to be a pit stop this time for Grazant? No. He might be continuing on for 2 soft stints here, although it's looking like that's not the best call to go for here for the remainder of this race. Let's just see over the line again for these drivers into turn 1. And oh, that's close again. Very close. Grazant gets into the back of Zelazny very much so, but He doesn't lose any front wing, as far as I could tell there.
I heard a little bit of contact, but I don't know. I don't know if there was any damage there. Hopefully there wasn't. Gavron now calling it off into the pits, onto soft tires to the end, and Tazo into the pits as well, and I would imagine he is going to follow suit and go soft tires to the end here. We'll see what the Hash driver decides. It is soft tires to the end. So, interesting to see that they're going to run softs. It doesn't surprise me because they'll only have to run 12 laps on them. So, that seems very doable. Or, sorry, 14 laps, if I can do math correct. Seems very doable for them to make that last to the end.
Well, yes, but Grasant and Maros aren't at the 14 laps yet, and Sentex and Kashti didn't make it there. Meanwhile, Kashti gets through on an important pass ahead of Velix. He's making use of those new tyres while he can. And into pit lane goes Baron, so it will be 13 laps to the end on maybe soft for him, maybe mediums, because that was a short medium stint from Baron. Only 10 laps of green flag running, realistically.
Yeah, and it is medium tires, so...
Wow.
Interesting decision to see. Not what I expected, and pit lane is getting very, very busy here with Myros in. Maddie's in. Baron is, of course, on his way out the door. They're coming out just a couple seconds behind Velix. And it is medium tires there. Maddie onto the soft tires. So Red Bull gambling a little bit here, I believe, if the other drivers are any indication. So we'll see how this plays out for Maddie on soft tires. And there he is, just ahead of his teammate Mateusz, who surely is running hard tires to the end. Maverick there on 22-lap-old hard tires that is still running. He needs to pit eventually.
Yeah, he will need to pit at some point. I can't believe he's been on those tyres for that long, to be honest with you. He's not stopped at all yet. He'll be going for the soft tyres towards the end of the race. But Kashti is the net race leader here then. Well, say net race leader. The net first chaser, if you like, because Zelazny will be going to the end on those tyres. 12 laps to go here. Grasant won't be going to the end on his, and in fact might be making his way down pit lane right now. Yes, he is. So that's 14 laps completed on these soft tyres from him, but only 12 to go this time round. A couple of those laps were done under safety cars, so that doesn't necessarily count. Will be soft tyres again, I would have thought. Unless he's decided mediums are better over a stint, and he has done. So mediums for Grasant to the end.
Yeah, we'll see how that works for him as he comes out here in P3, now into P4 as Baron comes through in P3, P5. But look at the gaps that have opened up now that we've got drivers going in and out of pit lane. We've got things mixing up. Look at this. It's gotten all shaken up. Look at Syntax. Look at Gavron up the inside. There's contact.
Wow. Gavron goes around as well. So that was not particularly smart. Oh, and into the wall. Syntax out of the race. Now, will this be a safety car? Yes, it will.
Oh, Zelazny, you lucky dog, you. Because look where he's at. Look where he is at the end of the middle sector. He will get a cheap pit stop out of this because he has 13, 14 seconds on Kashti. Oh, my gosh.
And put soft tyres on here and you'll be absolutely fine. Almost everybody's going to put softs on here, apart from Gavron here, which I don't really know what you do when you're him. This is possibly the best time safety car for the one McLaren in the lead and the worst one for the one in 7th.
I think if you're Gavron, you just stay out and you stick to it. You just stick to your soft tires. There's no reason. I think you stay out and you take the net whatever position you find. But, I mean, look at Graxton. He literally just came out of the pit lane. So,
yeah.
I mean, he is going to be in trouble. Even though it's brand new mediums, he's in trouble. One Mercedes decides to stay out. Kashti is in. Zelazny, as you called, straight on the soft tires. Let's see what Kashti does here as he makes his long trek down the pit lane. One Aston Martin of Velix is in. Soft tires.
It's got to be softs here, surely. Got to be softs. And it is. I'm really surprised the Mercedes didn't come into it. That's a really silly speeding penalty for Kusher. But I'm really surprised that the Mercedes haven't stopped for soft tyres.
I am too. They have to just be thinking they don't want to. They want the track position. And if you noticed, Aston Martin timed that double stack perfectly. Also, Gavron is in the pits for a brand new set of softs, even though he only had a couple sets on soft tires. He is on and in for brand new softs. Myro stays out and opts for the track position. Brannick finally in the pits, hadn't stopped yet at all this race, and catches a safety car right at the end, and he is going for soft tires to the end. So Mercedes in trouble. Also, Gris in chat says the curse. And Mr. O'Leary, I don't think I need to tell you what the curse is, but the curse stands real.
Well, it's been very real, unfortunately. It's a bit too real, I think, for the Mercedes today. They've decided to stay out, which I am surprised about, but a really badly timed safety car for some. I think Toflinski was, Toflinski probably pleased to see this because he can put some soft tyres on, but especially those who would be disappointed by that is the two Mercedes Gavron as well, although he'll see that his teammate has been really benefited by this and realised the championship situation, and of course the point situation for McLaren too. McLaren will probably score more points overall as a result of this safety car because it's helped Zelazny so much.
Yeah, it has absolutely changed this is, I mean, wow. I don't know what to say other than wow, because I don't know what else there is to say. It's just, it mixes everything up.
Yeah. And there's going to be 9 laps to go to the end. Almost everybody's on the softs, so everything we were talking about earlier on about the softs fading away compared to the other compounds doesn't really matter anymore. Everyone's on the same compounds. It's all about track position from here to the end. The only difference is that Zelazny has got a buffer of 2 medium tyre runners right behind him, and that's going to really help him break the DRS early on in this restart.
Yeah, and that is going to be really, really important for him to be able to break the DRS, get his way forward, and do what he can to get moving. It's, oh gosh, it's going to be very interesting to see where he lands himself. Zelazny, he went on softs, is in such a good position. It's very, very possible that he gets this. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, grab a bucket of popcorn, grab a seatbelt, because it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens throughout these last 9 laps. I would like to think safety car will be called in this lap. Also, Syntax, hello. One day, Syntax, that's all I can say is just one day, friend. One day. Safety car is in this lap. Yeah. Mr. O'Leary, tell me what you think is going to happen.
I think Zelazny is in prime position to win here, to be honest, with those 2 medium tyre runners as a buffer behind him. He's got such a golden opportunity to win this race and take a stranglehold on this championship, really, with the absence of John Meister today.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. No John Meister here. Of course, Mateusz has had issues. We're back underway, and look at this. Zelazny immediately on the defensive. Baron doing everything he can to try to make a run. Watch him here. He's running. Zelazny will defend the inside. Baron defends the outside. Gragson, best seat in the house right now to see what's going on, and it is going to be Zelazny holding on through turn 1. And now as we run down the hill here towards turn 2, look at this. The Mercedes are going to scrap it out on the medium tires, and they were thinking about a move. Nobody makes a move. Yellow flag, sector 1. That is going to be Maverick that is spun. It looks like he will be underway with no issues, though. So we'll keep our eyes on this lead as it goes. But Zelazny is absolutely trying to run away with it on the soft tires. Just a handful of laps to go. He knows he's got to make a move, and he's got